Good evening, episode 7, Talk Sports to Me Live. I'm your host, the sports guru. Tonight, we have one of the most entertaining, outstanding, exciting, and most unpredictable man in the world of mixed martial arts, and not just in the world of mixed martial arts, but in the world in which we live in. I've got the privilege of knowing him for probably a little over 20 plus years now, and we've had a lot of fun experiences together on the basketball court, being a supporter of his with fights, him being a supporter of mine with the things that I've got going on, which is part of the reason that we're here today. And for the first time ever, outside of winning basketball tournaments, we've got an opportunity to share something together, which will happen on May 9th, and that will be the MMA promotion, Empire Fight Series, with owner Brandon Phelps, Shaun being the promoter, and myself being the venue provider. Please help me in welcoming the one and the only Shaun the Bully Asher. What's up, buddy?
Just out here doing my thing, getting ready for some upcoming fights, training some people, just living a little bit.
Thanks for welcome, and thanks for joining us tonight. I've been fortunate since we've been doing the podcast to have a lot of people on the podcast that are good friends of mine, but that are also in positions of doing great things in the world. And, hi, Donna. Hi, my wife, Katie. She's watching. Fred, he's watching. Jordan Mitchell. So let's get our likes up tonight, guys. This is going to be a very entertaining show. Only God knows what we may discuss on this episode. It is episode 7. As you can see, we do have Shaun's belts behind us, and we do have some T-shirts to give away. We've also got some tickets that we're going to give away. So tonight is going to be a very, very, very fun night for the both of us. But we're going to go ahead and get started. You currently hold championship belts in 3 weight classes. That's 185, 205, and in the heavyweight division. You also hold 2 Naga belts. Now, my first question is, what exactly is Naga? Because I'm an MMA junkie, but I don't know that part of it. So explain to me what that is.
So Naga is pretty much just it's a fight, but with no punches. It's takedowns, submissions, submission attempts, things like that. I mean, it's all a fight with just no punches.
Gotcha. Has that something that you've always been into, or is it something that you've got into, here recently?
No, that's a more recent thing. I think that'll probably be my next step. After everything's done with fighting, I'll go into that a little bit more. I think it's a little easier to train, a little easier on my body. So that'll be the next step probably for me.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your career thus far. Like, I know that you were older, which is not uncommon for mixed martial artists
right.
at the time that you got started. And a lot of research that I've done about mixed martial art, all those guys were former athletes that were really good in other things that transformed into that when their other sport didn't pan out.
Right.
And so for you, it was basketball. Know you played overseas in Europe for a while and that type of thing. And so you come home and you're trying to figure out which the way you want to go, and you're talked into starting to train in MMA, and the next thing you know, however many years later, you're a 3-time champion and got a lot going on with the sport, and now evolving into other things.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your career thus far.
Like you said, I was a basketball player. That was my love. That was the only thing. After I came back from Germany, I traveled a little bit with some traveling teams, did some things with that. But at some point in your life, you got to realize that dream's over with, so you have to find something new. And for me, fighting just came, and when it came pretty natural to me. So as I started training, things just kept falling into place. And pretty much now that brings me to where we are now. I mean, I took a 3-year hiatus for a while, different reasons. I mean, I was just over the sport in general. I felt like I kind of got snubbed on some stuff, but I mean, it is what it is. And then I come back after 3 years and win a heavyweight belt, thanks to Mr. Brandon Phelps and the Empire Fight Series. And then now some things are coming together. I got a new manager, Ernie Sellers. He's putting together some great things with the upcoming fights. I mean, for being 40, I can't ask for
right.
now.
You're in a good position. What is your overall record as a pro?
15-3-1.
Okay, so you've had 19 pro fights. I've seen a lot of those. I've been there for a lot of those, and it's been fun watching the evolution from when you were an amateur. I know you took a tough loss against a guy from West Virginia in the amateur ranks, and I thought you may not fight again. That was the kind of the true test for me in what type of mentality you had toward that sport. Because, getting beat in a basketball game that doesn't involve violence and that doesn't involve you making a mistake and that mistake potentially being costly to your life when you're talking about, a contact sport such as MMA, and you were able to bounce back and find resolve, and that propelled you into a whole nother level. Because after that fight, you really started to really push it and make a big turn around the corner to where you're at now.
Yep. You're right. I mean, in basketball, you can make a mistake, and guess what? You still have some minutes to make it up. In MMA, if you make a mistake, that could be the end of the fight. I mean, potentially, like you said, more with boxing now, but there's been deaths in contact sports that people don't realize. I mean, you're a gladiator when you're in there, and that's all there is to it. There's no other words to put. I mean, when you're in there, it's do or die pretty much. When that cage shuts, your buddies can't help you out. I mean, it's you in there.
I tried once. That was the fight. That was the fight. Andy Swearingen and I were in the crowd, and the dude gets up. I see that you're in a bad situation, so I get up and start making a charge of the cage, and the guy that was at the door was like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going in there. I'll help my buddy." He's like, "Man, if you don't want to end up like he is, you might want to go back to your seat." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
I remember.
So I just went back and got another beer. You know, I didn't know what else to do. How many amateur fights did you have before you went to the pro ranks? Because I know you didn't stay amateur very long.
I'm guessing. I think 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. Okay. I think I was either 6-3, 5-3, somewhere in there. It's been a while ago. I'm getting old now. I can't remember.
How many? How did you know that it was time to go pro though? What was the determining factor? When you said, "Okay, I'm gonna be a professional MMA fighter, and this is what I want to pursue." How did you know? Because there's certain things where you know.
Right.
And that.
My thing for me was I still wasn't really sure. I didn't know my potential or whatnot. I had just switched gyms. I was training with only pros, but I was still training with my boys from Alliance. So I'm at Vision, and Rod's like, "What are you doing? Why are we not fighting pro fights?" I'm like, I didn't know. I'm still I don't know. But I'm training with all the top guys, and I'm holding my own. And he's like, "Look at you in training." And I'm like, so we start talking. They started a promotion, so of course, with my following and stuff, they wanted me on, and that's how I made my pro debut right there.
Right. How was you answered part of my next question, but where and who was involved in your first real legit training camp? Because training camps are different for amateurs than they are for pros. Because for one, the cardiovascular portion of it. I've seen a lot of guys that have been really good amateurs just based on the 3 rounds and, not having to fight for as long, that when they went pro, if they didn't knock a guy out, they were in trouble. So who was involved in your first real legit training camp, and where did that take place?
Let me think. I'm thinking that's probably when I just had made my switch to Vision MMA. Of course, Big Rod Housley was part of it. I'm sure Raj was in there, Victor O'Donnell, Chris Smith, rest in peace. Dom Steele, I'm sure, was there. Jerry James.
It's a bunch of hard asses, man.
Just the cream of the crop.
Yeah, that's a bunch of hard asses that you say. Because I found out about Jerry James, he was a knockout artist, just locally in bars and stuff before he even started to train. Correct. And then once he started to train, he evolved really quick as well. Right. It's just boom. And then the next thing you know, he was fighting for some championships and stuff, you know? And Jerry just said something about Jim Davis. Jim Davis was another one. Davis, yes, was another one that was in that camp. So those types of camps don't allow you to be an amateur for very long.
You don't have no choice. You can't be an amateur with them guys. Once you start training with them, you're either going to make it or you're not. It's make it or break it. In them days, in Vision days, if you look back at some of the amateurs, oh my Lord. And and then I'm training my ground game and stuff with Eric and Brian Mill. I can't forget them guys. They've taken me very far. Lance has too. I mean, it's just crazy. The talent that I trained with is what made me better. Like myself, I could have got so far, but I had to get a little piece of everybody from everything.
You know, something like where MMA, like growing up, I always would see. We would get the pay-per-views. We would watch the pay-per-views on TV, and we would get them. And I'm talking about as far back as like Tank Abbott and Hoist Gracie, back before there were weight classes.
Right.
Like guys were going in there at 185 fighting guys that were 265 and banging with them, you know, like banging with them and choking them out, you know. And so that was a thing. That was another thing that was huge. Was back then was the MMA. Then MMA came more on the surface of here.
Right.
And the first really big promotions here were Turf Wars.
In this area, Turf Wars, Hard Rock has always been a part. Billy Donovan has always had a part. I mean, there's been people, like until it got popping like it is now, like people didn't know. Like you just follow your favorite friends. Like if you were fighting, me and 20 friends follow you. But now, it ain't 20 people no more. It's hundreds are following you. Like in the area I'm from, everybody wants to either see. It's one or two ways. Either people want to come see me win, or people want to see me lose.
Yeah, right. That's how it works. And that's how it works with every sport. But MMA is a different breed. It takes a different breed of person to do it. So when people aren't seeing you lose to see you suffer. You know, people see you lose a basketball game or a baseball game. They see you lose and they see you suffer, but that's over.
Right.
But when you wake up every morning and you have to look at that black eye or that broke nose or you know, whatever the situation is, that changes the complexion of your loss.
Exactly. I mean, I still remember my first ever amateur loss. I was done. Like I was like, man, ain't nobody can beat me. Hell no. And legit, like you think about that nonstop, like, oh, can't never do that again. And I mean, it just stays in the back of your mind. I can remember every pro loss what happened, every amateur loss what happened. And there are always things when I step in that cage, especially if I'm the first person to walk out, that's what I think about nonstop. Like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. And that's the only things going through my mind, like the things I can't do. And when you wake up every day thinking about it, you wake up in tears like, damn, I just let all these people down.
Right.
I mean, it's hard it's hard on your body.
I mean, because you have had a humongous following from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, people found out you were fighting. People have always bought tickets.
Sure.
That's why they push you to go pro as soon as they did.
Yeah.
And that's why you can find a fight anytime, anywhere you want to, because you're always going to sell tickets. I know Turf Wars holds a special place in your heart because they gave you Meat Truck, Kerry, Shaw, gave you an opportunity to like fight and fight often. Like, and
anytime I wanted.
That you say you want to fight, he sets up a promotion at Turf Wars, you know? And that goes without being said that, you know, he thought a lot of you, but you also were loyal to him and always gave him a good show, always sold tickets, and always made it worth everybody's while. So tell us a little bit about Turf Wars and how that affected your career early on and how that propelled you to taking the next step.
A good thing with Turf Wars is, of course, Kerry and Rod, they were co-partners or whatever, but I had a great relationship with both of them. I had known Kerry for a really long time before I even started fighting, so of course that helped me out. And he was like a no bullshit kind of guy. Like he would tell me like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And of course then Kerry ended up hooking me up with a great manager, Monty Cox. He's had UFC legends everywhere. Monty did some great things for me, but I was just done at that point. Like I was going through a lot of stuff, so at that point I was just ready to take my time away from the sport. And Rod, of course, I mean, he mended me to where I was. I mean, he took me to the next level, so I always had to stay pretty loyal to them. And they knew, like, when I was ready to fight, I was going to sell hundreds of tickets. Hundreds of people were going to show up, drink beer, make them money. And they loved it. And they loved having me there. They supplied me with some great fights. I mean, I can never complain about Turf Wars. That was my home forever.
For a long time.
Yeah, if they came back, I would be 100% right on board right now.
Who was your toughest amateur opponent? Like, I know it's been a long time ago, and I know you've kind of uh, dis disengaged yourself from the amateur ranks because that's been so long ago. That's been 20 fights ago, but there's always that one, that always or that may have went pro soon after or before you went pro and is still doing it. I think all your guys that you fought as an amateur are probably done now, aren't they?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know one guy as I fought as an amateur that is a pro right now.
Successful pro.
I don't even know none that are pro. Period.
Gotcha.
None. Of course, the hardest for me ever probably had to be Timbo Slice because I never lived that down and I just took it too lightly. I thought I was the greatest thing out there, and he proved me wrong.
I know when I saw Timbo Slice, if you're watching this, please don't come after me because I seen what you did to my boy. But when I saw him walking to the ring, like, first of all, let's be honest, he was overweight and you didn't have to take the fight. Right? He didn't make weight.
I don't even remember.
He didn't make weight. He didn't make weight. And you didn't have to take the fight. But you took it because you sold 600 tickets until you had to.
It is what it is.
And so I just remember when I saw him coming, I didn't think that he was going to pose a challenge to you, you know. And he took your back early, and it was all she wrote. But like I said earlier, that's why you're here.
Exactly.
That's why there's 3 belts behind us. Mm-hmm. That's why you're a champion in 3 different weight classes. That fight to me, being part of your following, that fight to me is what really sparked it for you. As you've gotten older and more experience in the fight game, have you become less willing to take fights in different weight classes? Do you fight now in weight classes where it's easier to remain comfortable? Because I know I used to give you crap all the time, like when you would go to 185, and I'd be like, dude, you look like shit, man. Don't do this, And so, you did it, and did it gracefully, but how is that now as far as with cutting weight and stuff like that?
In training still, I'll be joking around with my coach and stuff like, man, I'm about to make this cut to 185. This body probably couldn't make 185 no more, let's be honest. I mean,
you do have a couple extracurricular activities that would probably contribute into that.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be comfortable at 205. The weight's coming off fine. 205 would be fine, but there's going to be a lot of money involved if it's going to be a 185 fight. I can promise you that. It's going to be life-changing. That's the only way this body's cutting to 185.
Who has been the toughest training partner that you've had, that you would say? I know you've been in gyms. Your gym was a gauntlet. Like, you had to climb the mountain every single day that you walked in to train. But who has been some of the guys some of your toughest training partners?
Now, still to this day, Raj has to be one of the toughest guys ever. I don't care. Everybody thinks he's small. My man is a beast. That's all there is to it. And then, of course, I trained at Hit Squad out there. So, I trained with guys like Brian Foster, Trey Penland, which is coming to town here soon to fight, Cortez Coleman.
Who's Trey fighting here?
He's going to fight Brian McDowell.
He's fighting BJ, right?
Yes.
That's going to be a war.
Yeah. People don't understand, but that's going to be what's coming to watch.
That's going to be a war. If you're going to come to this promotion on May 9th, you better get here to see. If you don't know any of the other fighters on the card, know that those 2 individuals are highly skilled, highly motivated, highly aggressive. Both of them in the octagon are alpha males. They both want to be in control of what's going on in there at all times. They don't play that I'm going to bait you this way crap. They're coming after you
the whole time. And
they're going to get down and dirty, and it's going to be a bloodbath. I'm telling you, it's going to be a bloodbath. I can't wait for that fight.
I'm telling you, I got goosebumps just thinking about it.
Me too.
And that's not the only fight. This whole card is going to be – if you're not here early, you're going to miss a great card. This is going to be huge for Mount Orb. This place is going to be rocking. And I'm not just saying that because I'm doing a lot of it, but I'm telling you, these fights that are being set up are going to be just great fights. Probably one of the best around in a while. And like I said, we can't thank Brandon Phelps enough for doing this. No. This is going to be
When I got the opportunity to come here, the very first thing that I did was call you. Remember?
Yeah.
The very first
Before
thing.
you even started.
I hadn't even started work yet. I gotta go, I gotta do some stuff, I gotta finish my other job, I gotta put in a notice, but you need to come up here and look at this place because I wanna bring MMA to Mount Orb. And I think that this Mount Orb, the whole town of Mount Orb, the whole village, is gonna be like Las Vegas that weekend, and this is going to be like MGM Grand. I mean, this is going to be huge, and I'm not hyping. I'm not trying to hype I'm being honest. It's going to be epic.
Legit, you don't have to hype this. When people see the names that are going to be on this card, I mean, that's all I can say. Like, it's fire. It's Empire 2 is going to be great, which is coming up. Empire 3 is going to be the best one yet, hands down.
I agree. I agree, and I was at the first series. I'll be helping do some commentary at the second at Fight Series 2,
Right.
And then we'll be here for 3. So this is going to be epic. Tell us about the average training camp leading up to a fight. Like once you've got a date, now you know your date. Okay, right. So in order to be very good at this sport, just like any other sport, you have to train every single day, even when you're not in fight mode.
Even when you're down and out. And for me, that happens a lot. Like, I'll get in moods and I'm like, man, damn, I ain't trying to show up to this. Come on. And I'll try to get out of it. But then I think to myself, like, if I want to be at the top level where I'm at, I have to train every day.
Every single day.
Every day.
No days off. But once you get a date, once you get a fight date, once you know when you're fighting, how does training camp work? Like, how does it switch up from normal going in to grapple, normal going in to work on the pads, right. Normal? Now you got a fight coming up.
Right. So usually for me, 6 to 8 weeks. 8 weeks is pretty long for me because, like I said, I do a little too much, more than what most people do. Like, right. I do a 5 a.m. with one of my trainers, which is Susie McClanahan Lucas. So she'll wear me out. I go to work. Afterwards, either I'm going to train grappling, I'm going to train stand-up with, of course, Nathan Fitch, or I'm going to train with Roger and them at night. And then usually on my way home, after the hour drive, I'll stop in a power source with Mike Truitt, and we'll get something extra in. So for me, I'm doing like 2 and 3 trainings in a day compared to everybody else doing 1 and 2.
Right. Yeah, so I've always known, like, if you go to your Facebook or whatever, your Instagram, you'll see you're always in somebody else's gym.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, dude. You just here an hour or two ago,
right.
So are there differences in training from being an amateur to being a pro, or is your mentality and your approach to war the same?
I mean, mine were pretty close because I just had that winner's mentality. I mean, even in stuff like in board games or whatever, like, I have to win. Like, that's my thing. Like, I want to win. And I don't give a damn who I'm playing. It could be Connect 4, bingo, whatever. I want to win. But as an amateur, you can kind of, screw around. It's not as tough. But as a pro, this is your paycheck.
Right.
So either you want paid all your money or you want paid half or whatever. I mean, for me, I want a big check. I don't want a half check or whatever. Like, I want the whole thing.
Me personally, have never let you down in competition. I've never.
Are we going to start this right now?
No.
Are you sure?
We're going to move on.
Oh, okay.
We're going to move on. Who, out of all those guys that you talked about training with Roger and Big Jim and us, the other guys that were in your gym, Jerry, and even the lighter weight guys, Clay Baker, when you've got in there with guys like that,
Michael Dave,
Brian
Mill,
those guys,
Brian McDowell, all them guys, Matt and all them from Iron Fist. I mean, they're more than welcoming for me to come over. I train with them guys some too when I can. I mean,
who's been the toughest training partner though? There has to be the one guy that when you trained with Susie at 5,
yeah.
You went to work all day, and I know you don't lift a finger now at work. You don't do nothing. You don't do anything. But I worked with you once, and you just told me what to do all day, and then paid me at the end of the day.
Sometimes it works like that, though.
And so, you leave work and you're on your way to training at your other gym. Who's the one guy that you're like, man, I hope they're not in the mood today?
I mean, There's a lot, really. I mean, everybody. Like, you can't take time off. Like, I don't want to just pick out one person because there's a lot. And, of course, I forgot about Cody Little. My bad. He was a little beast, too. I need to get him back in the gym. He about 200 now. He used to fight at 45.
He drinks that beer.
But, I don't know. Clay Baker was always hell to train with.
JD, he can't play kickball.
That's why I got my trophy, though, JD. Clay was always hell. Michael Dabe was hell. Both Mel's were hell. Jerry was hell. Lance. All the Vision guys. There's not one guy I can't name because if you go and slacking, you're going to get beat up that day, and you never leave.
There was nights where there would be a Vision card at Turf Wars, and you guys would go 8-0, 9-0, 10-0. Everybody. I mean, and I'm not talking about going the distance and winning on decision. I'm talking about tap out. I'm talking about head kicks, knockouts. I'm talking about guys getting put to sleep with the hands. I'm talking 8, 9, 10-0. Vision would just clean the house.
That was the mentality then, though. I mean, I'm not going to take nothing away from them now because, I don't go there very much or whatnot. I know a lot of the guys still, and, like, I have a lot of respect for everybody in the sport. Like, there's no person that I down in the sport, period. But back in the day, when you walked into Vision at 4 o'clock for the pro practice, if you screw up, you get your ass beat. And it was 5 minutes here, whoop, whoop, timer went off 30 seconds. Next person. And we had this mat, man, it was so big. Like, there was so many people getting it in. You would look around like, damn, where can I get a little break at? Even with the little guys, you wasn't getting a break. Like, it was crazy. Strauss, everybody, Blaine Hodges. I mean, there was no break. Jeremy Pender, there was no break, period. And people don't get it. That's what made them killers.
We're going to give everyone, so we've got 2 shirts to give away, and we've got 2 tickets to give away. So the first question that we're going to ask, if someone can answer who Shaun's, and I hope he knows the answer because that's the only way that you're getting the tickets. Tell me who Shaun's victory at 205 to get his 205 belt was against. We'll give you 1 ticket, right? Okay? 1 ticket if you can tell who the 205 opponent was when he won the 205 belt, okay? We also have 2 shirts to give away, and we will give one of those shirts away if you can tell us who he beat at Empire Fight Series 1. That's easy. If you don't know the answer, if somebody doesn't pop up here with that answer soon, then I'm not giving, hi, Mother. I'm not giving the shirts away.
I think she wants me to beat you. That's what she's giving
the shirt away. So we got who he won, who he beat to get the 205 belt. And okay, so Cody Little, you're excluded, okay? Because you were probably but thanks for giving somebody else the answer. All right, Cody, you can get the T-shirt, man. I'll meet up with you soon.
Look at who the second one was.
The second, Derek, you were probably... His 2 best friends can't pop up on here and give the answers. Okay, so Cody, you get the T-shirt. Okay, you get the first T-shirt. Whoever can tell us who the 205 opponent was when he got the 205 belt, we will give away 1 ticket for that. And then we've got another ticket to give away later, and we've got another T-shirt to give away later. The next question is going to be funny. And Joel Green and Trevor Moffitt and Travis Green and Chad Finney are a couple of the people that know this story. But you were Shaun... Sugar Shaun Asher before, right? And I never liked that. I was always pissed off about it. I never liked it. And I would always try to tell you, like, you need a new name. You need a new nickname and stuff. And you would always be like, shut up, shut up, shut up. So you remember the night that the bully came to fruition.
I'll never forget that night. That was great.
We're at the boat club in Ripley, and one of our buddies had a pizza. Shaun had already ordered a pizza, ate. Mom said, "Don't hurt her, baby."
Mm-hmm.
He had already ordered a pizza, ate his pizza. Someone else had ordered a pizza. You're right, Shaun. Uncle Dean said he'll kill you. Someone else had Trevor had ordered a pizza, and Shaun was gonna take his last pizza. And I was like, dude, leave his pizza alone. I'm sick of it. You're a bully. I'm tired of you. And so we were walking from the boat club to Snappers, which we probably should have just walked home, but the party wasn't over yet. And you were like, I like that. The bully. I like that. And then the next fight was at Turf Wars, and the shirts came, Shaun the Bully Asher. And it's been the bully ever since. And
Right.
it's like very fitting, because when I talk to guys who train with you, I've talked to guys who train with you, and they're just like, dude, he's like so top heavy, and even when he don't want to hurt you, he just mauls around on you all the time. And so yeah, that was a fun night, and the bully was formed, and it's been the bully ever since. And I think that there's no more fitting nickname for you as a fighter, and it's original because I don't see other people with it.
You don't see a lot of the bullies.
So the next thing I want to talk to you about is something else that you do that BJ McDowell does, that Clay Baker did, but there's only a few of you that do it. You would fight every month if you could. Like, you fight all the time. I mean, you used to fight all the time. And now you're 40 and you came out of retirement from 3 years.
Right.
You won a heavyweight belt. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing you do is say, I'm going to take 2 fights in back-to-back months. You're crazy. And I've done research on Hunsucker, and I've done research on that dude in Aruba. Mm-hmm. And they're both really, really good.
Both of them are very, very, like, it's not going to be, hey, I'm getting this first round win real quick. Both is going to be a war, and I'm excited for both. I'm really excited for both. Like, training camp couldn't be no better. I mean, the dude from Aruba's talking blah, blah, blah. Whatever, man. We'll see. I ain't never seen somebody get knocked out from their back. That's what I'll tell him, because he's going to be on his damn back for a long time.
Right. Yeah. I always knew. And that's one thing, like, the worst thing somebody can do is get to talking for you, because you just find motivation in it, you know? Some guys get scared by it. You find motivation in it. Tell us about the Lexington fight. Tell us first and last name of your opponent. Tell us some of the other people on the card. Tell us where it's at. Tell us where people can find tickets. And, you know, we'll move forward with the Lexington promotion.
Lexington fight is actually April 18th. It's at Rupp Arena, but it's at Heritage Hall, which is
downstairs.
Like a part of them, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's there. I'll be fighting for their heavyweight belt against Harry Hunsucker. He won Pro Fighter of the Year last year. He's very well-rounded, man. I'm not going to take nothing away from him. It's going to be a war, period. Whether it goes 1 round or 5 rounds, it's going to be a great fight, regardless of what happens. And I'm just really excited for this one. I told myself and I told one of my coaches I would like to have all these belts around here, and then I can hang it up. And so,
right.
I mean, I'm just going with the flow. Things are falling into place, see what happens. So,
is that a Hard Rock?
That's Hard Rock.
Is that a Hard Rock promotion?
Mm-hmm. That's Hard Rock.
So Lexington, April 4th.
18th.
April 18th.
Yeah.
Heritage Hall, basement of Rupp Arena.
Yep.
Harry Hunsucker.
Yep.
2019 Bluegrass MMA Pro Fighter of the Year. Mm-hmm. And Shaun Asher. Did you win the Pro Fighter of the Year this year, or did he win that?
No, he won that. They said do it in 19, so 20 will be at the end of this year.
All right. Yeah. And so
he won that.
You've even got more of an incentive to beat him, because he's already beat you in something, and you hate to lose. And so that's going to be a whole nother. That's going to be like you say, a war. Tell us about your opponent in Aruba. How did that fight come about? Was there, you know, who's the promoter on that fight and that type of thing?
The promoter actually, I mean, the promotion is CFC, is Caribbean Fight Series. It's been kind of a mess, back and forth. The dates changed 3 times. He didn't want to fight. Then he comes back, let me talk to him. Then he'll fight you, blah, blah, blah. Then he's on the internet talking, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, that gets me hyped. And I just laugh it off. But when I get there and I'm in your face, it ain't going to be no more laughing, bub. Sorry. We going to get it. And the only thing they send me videos, but they want to see all videos of me training. So they sent me a video, and at the end, all I can understand is I'm gonna knock him out. I'm like, okay.
So, where, what? I mean, why do they want videos of seeing you train? Can they not? Can they not log on to YouTube and see videos of a fight?
There's not a lot of me on YouTube, thank God. I mean, there's amateur stuff, but as far as pro, there's not a lot. So I like it like that. So they can't just go on there and say, hey, he's gonna do this, that. Plus, it wouldn't matter because I'm always different. I'm unpredictable, so it doesn't matter. I didn't even really think this fight was going to go through, but I mean, it's been a couple months in the making now, and everything's good. So hopefully,
So what's it? 3 weeks apart?
it's about 4. It's May 30th, so yeah, it's about 4
Oh,
to
so
5.
you 4
Yeah,
to
we got a
5
little
weeks.
bit,
Okay,
yeah.
so you've got time to beat up Henry. Is that his name, Henry? Harry. Beat up Henry or Harry or whatever his name is, and then get back in the gym, lick up a couple wounds if you have any,
Right.
and get back to business.
Yeah, there will be no playtime in between these two. It'll be after the Lexington fight. It'll be right back in the gym Monday because I'll still be cutting weight for that fight. So, I mean, it's back to back, and then hopefully maybe we can line something up for the summer, maybe in Ohio.
Well, if this May 9th promotion goes down, you're fighting here, outside, with the big tent. Talk to the mayor and get the clearance on the noise and all that. It's going down here. So tell the people how they can get tickets for those other two promotions, the April 18th and the May 30th.
There's a website to get them off the Hard Rock thing, or if you're close to me or I can meet up with you, I have some tickets. It's going to sell out. All VIPs are gone. Front row VIPs were gone. They sold out the first hour. This card is going to be fire. When I'm on a card, it's fire. They got second row VIP left, general admission as far as I know. And I'm telling you, if you want tickets, you better get a hold of me now because VIP are going to be a wrap.
So it seems like the older you get, the tougher opponents you look for. And that's supposed to be how it is. You're supposed to evolve in a sport, and you're supposed to want to fight the best. But you have, like, prided yourself on finding, I mean, like, when I heard you were fighting Jason Butcher, and I heard you were going down to his weight class to do it, I was like, wow, he'll just fight anybody. And that was a Bellator fight, right?
Bellator fight, yeah.
And so you've been really, really close, you know, to the UFC. I'll give you an opportunity, if you want, to go into detail, not into detail to give any of your personal business, but, you know, just you were very, very close at getting on The Ultimate Fighter, like very, very close. And I think that only the people that are closest to you know that because you didn't really share it because of the disappointment.
Right.
I saw a different side of you when that happened, when that didn't go through for you. It was the first time in my life that I had ever seen the life sucked out of you. Mm-hmm. Like, it took a lot out of you. And it took a lot for you to come back and start training to fight again. But what is it that makes you always look for the best in whatever weight class that you're in? Hi, Aunt Donna. I love you.
I mean, that's just how it comes now. There's nobody that's not good, you know what I mean? Like, there's not that one person you can say, hey, I'm going to get this fight, blah, blah, blah. It's easy fight. There's not easy fights anymore. People are just so much better because they've been training for so long. I mean, some of these kids are starting at 3 and 4 years old at wrestling. Just imagine what they're going to be when they're old enough to fight at 18. It's going to be crazy.
Nobody's been able to tell us who his 205 championship was. So Brandon Phelps, you're not watching, and I'm disappointed because you're not watching. But just know you're going to save a little bit of money because Shaun doesn't have to buy anybody tickets at this point because nobody can tell him who his 205 opponent was when he won the belt.
What was his nickname? Let's give him a hint.
Give him a hint.
What was it? The Pit Bull?
The Pit Bull. The Pit Bull. That's what he was, the Pit Bull.
Pit Bull.
Let me talk to you about something that's very near and dear to you because it's been privilege, and I've got to personally witness how fun it has been. Being a father, I couldn't imagine. Like, my best thing was playing basketball and stuff like that, and so for me, the prime of my basketball career was over before I had kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But for you, you have had the privilege of having Landon. He was old enough he was old enough to know his dad won when
Right.
you started.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been with you every step of the way. He's in the ring after every fight. I mean, he's in training camp some days. Some days when you get to a point where no one else can push you, you allow him to push you. He'll talk a little shit, but
He does do that, yes.
but tell us how awesome it's been to have him with you for the journey from the beginning till now.
I mean, it's great. Like it's hard now. It's a lot harder. Like I get emotional sometimes just thinking about. But like I couldn't imagine looking out there and after a loss and just seeing his face, because I had to do that when I fought Jordan Johnson. And in my mind, I had that fight won, and that was another UFC ticket that I blew.
Yeah.
And when I looked out there, I just seen the disappointment. Not disappointment, but he was just like, "Shit, my dad just lost that fight." And I just don't never want him to see me like that, because I was broke down after that fight,
Yeah,
literally.
that one hurt you too.
Yeah. I mean,
That one hurt you too, and
that
that was the UFC ticket.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Everybody
That was
knows
the
it.
UFC. That was the UFC ticket. Like I was watching that fight on pay-per-view, and I told the guys that I was watching the fight with, I said, he wins this fight tonight, he'll get a $500,000 or $600,000 fight.
Something. Anyway.
You know, he'll get
It
something.
would have been somewhere, yeah, for
You
sure.
know, he'll get something. And maybe they'll give him 200,000, tell him you win, then we'll give you 500,000. But it's a UFC ticket, and
Right.
it's kind of the thing with you as a fighter, with other athletes, and like other sports. You don't care about how much money you're gonna make to get an NBA contract.
Right.
It's the NBA,
Exactly.
you know, and you don't care if you're getting a contract with the worst team in the league. It doesn't matter.
No.
It's the NBA.
Right.
That's kind of like how the UFC is. There he is.
He shouldn't count, though.
He gave everybody else 15 minutes to answer, and we still got another ticket. All right, Jerry James. But you're supposed to be working the promotion. You're supposed to be working. So I don't know how.
He gonna sell that ticket and make money.
Yeah,
off
no,
that.
he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. We're not going to have that. How much more gas do you have in the tank, Shaun? You've retired a couple of times and always returned. How many more fights you think you got left?
I don't know. I say a couple. Let's see what happens in the next couple. We'll go from there. I don't know. I'm having fun right now. Before it just gets to where it's not fun. It wasn't fun no more for me. It was more like a job. And now I'm having a blast. Like, new people are coming around, stuff like that. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens after these next two and go from there.
I got a problem because I've asked you guys questions, and two of Shaun's best friends have been the people to answer the question. Justin Spires, I'll tell you what. Yeah, what Jerry said. No, not what Jerry said. Not what Jerry said.
Everybody should remember that fight, because that fight right there, like, people don't realize. I took that fight after finding out that one of my better friends had passed away on the way to the fight.
Right.
So, if anybody knows me, they should know that fight right there of all things.
Right. Right. Who was your toughest opponent as a pro, do you think?
Of course, Doug Sparks was a tough guy. Of course, Butcher was tough. Misha was tough. Jordan Johnson was tough. I mean, everybody was tough, but I mean, them guys, I mean, most of them are in the UFC or something now. So, I mean, I'm going to throw my props out to them. All them guys were tough. Everybody was tough that I fought. I'm not taking nothing away from them.
Right. Tell us about your. We talked a little bit about your UFC experience. Tell us about that, how close you were, how that all worked, and you don't have to go into detail on why it didn't work out, but I just want the people to know how close you were.
I mean, you couldn't fit something in between that paper and that table. That's how close it was. I was out at the UFC. They flew me to Vegas. I did all their stuff, MRIs, CAT scans, the whole nine, interviews with the Fertitta brothers, which is the owners. I mean, I did everything, and everything as far as I knew was perfect. I just think I probably didn't have the right people representing me maybe at the time, so that kind of hurt me. But when I left Vegas, when I flew to New Mexico for one of my friends' fights to corner him, I knew I was in the UFC right then and there. That's how sure I was. And from the phone calls and text messages I were getting, they're like, without a doubt, man, you're in. 2-3 weeks later, I get a text message says at this time that we're not going to take you. So I don't know what happened in between the 3 weeks.
Tell us about your Bellator experience. Bellator is, for people who don't know, Bellator is the closest thing to MMA or to UFC that exists. So all the guys that are Bellator, the UFC wants the best guys in Bellator, correct?
The UFC, everybody thinks the UFC is the top of the line. It's not no more. Before, yes, maybe, but they still didn't have the best fighters. Bellator has great fighters. ONE FC has great fighters. Like, everybody's so spread out now. If you make one mistake at one of the top levels, they shift you somewhere else, and you just sign the next day. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of like minor league baseball. Like, everybody thinks UFC is the best, but it's really not. A lot of UFC guys are now in Bellator. It's kind of like Strikeforce was before.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, to say that they're the NBA or the MLB, that's not true anymore. I mean, it used to be maybe, but not now. I mean, all the guys are great in all the levels. Like, they're studs in every promotion that could easily fight there. But it's... I ain't even gonna say. It's just who you know, man. That's all it is.
Politics, just like everything else.
Every sport,
just
politics.
like everything else. Who is the fighter who is the fighter in the UFC that you would compare yourself to if you had to make a comparison to your game?
Khabib. I love him. I mean, that's my man. And I people get mad at me. We'll be wrestling or whatever. I'm like, just tell me I'm better than Khabib. Just tell me. And I'll be holding him there playing with him. Like, that dude is unreal.
Top heavy, just laying on people.
He's ungodly. Like, you don't see it. He wrestles bears, man. Who does that? Come on now.
Right.
My man is unreal.
What at what point before a fight, and I've always wondered about this, at what point before a fight do the nerves go away?
For me, the week of is when I really have problems. Like, I'm emotional. Like, I go through crying spells that people don't realize. Like, I'm just very emotional. When I weigh in and I'm gonna look you face to face, it's over with. Like, I'm good then. The next day, I'm cool, whatever. When my music hits, I know, like, let's go. It's time to go. Like, that, I don't see nothing coming to the cage. Everybody always asks me stuff like, you see me, you see... I don't see nothing. Like, I see him in the cage, and that's it. It's a tunnel. It's a tunnel vision.
You don't hear my kick his ass sea bass every time?
Everybody thinks I hear all that stuff. I don't hear nothing when I'm walking to that cage.
Man.
That's
I'm
it.
messing with you. Before we get off here, man, I want to give you an opportunity. I know you've got a bunch of sponsors and stuff that have been with you for a lot of fights and that are still with you. One thing about it, man, people have stayed loyal to you through your ups and downs and stuff, man. People have really been a blessing to you in your career and supported you. So who are some of the people that you'd like to thank?
I'm going to do it a little different this time, man. I'm going to thank, of course, I got to thank my mom first. She's not missed a fight except for, like, Russia and Canada. She's always great for me. Like, when I'm emotional, she can talk to me, blah, blah, blah. I want to thank Landon, of course. He is always there for me. Like, he understands, like, that week is that week, and he understands what's going on now. He's at that age. Of course, my girlfriend, Jen. Thank her stepdaughter, or my stepdaughter now, Morgan. Her boyfriend, Billy. Let's see. Of course, I got to thank Nathan and Roger and all my guys, Josh Leonard, Winston Queen, all my training partners right now, all the guys from Maysville, whatnot. Everybody I'm training with. I know I'm missing people, and I'm sorry. And, of course, my sponsors, Southern Ohio Build Design, Scotty Kirk, Snappy Tomato Pizza, Tony Staggs Insurance, get you some insurance, Tony Lloyd, thank you, ma'am, Usell CBD, Mike Welch, Lisa Rothwell, and, of course, Susie McClanahan, Lucas, and Mike Tripp, man. I couldn't do none of this without you guys. I appreciate it so much.
That's awesome, man. I know for me, I'll continue to follow your career as long as I can. Not because I know you, but because you're fun to watch fight. you're fun guy to be around. We've had some fun times outside of your fights. We've had a couple other fights, but
But we
with,
undefeated.
with each other and with each other and with other people. But we are undefeated. But guy's loyal to his soil, folks. He never forgets where he comes from. He never forgets where it started. He never forgets who has helped him get there. And he is truly a blessing to our community in terms of professional entertainment. We don't have a lot of professional athletes from this area, but he's one of them. And for a lot of kids, you wouldn't believe how many kids he's given hope for different things and how many kids want to train MMA and how many parents now allow their kids to train MMA that feel like it's okay because they know Shaun and he's a good guy outside of outside of the sport. And he's one of the good guys in the sport. So it's been a privilege talking to you, man. I'm excited about April the 18th. I'm excited about May the 31st.
30th.
May the 30th. And I'm super, super, super duper excited about May the 9th right here at Mount Orb Sports Complex.
Let me say one more shout out. I can't forget about my shirt guy, Shaun Rockin'. Everybody check him out on Facebook, Rockin' Designs. He's great, man. Great.
I tell you what, we will do. I will come up with a contest tomorrow because you guys didn't really participate tonight. The only people that came up with it for the tickets were two of Shaun's best friends, and the only person that came up for the T-shirt was another one of Shaun's best friends. So I will come up with a contest. It will be on our Mount Orb Sports Complex page. Like the page, love the page. I will have a contest posted on there tomorrow. How we're going to give away the other one of the tickets and the other T-shirts and another T-shirt, and they will be here. And whenever you are pronounced the winner, feel free to come and pick up your T-shirt, and I will let you know when you can come pick up your ticket. We will have lots of food, lots of drinks, and lots of live entertainment. We did announce one of the fights, which would be Ryan McDowell and Trey Pendulum, and that is going to be an all-out slugfest. They both can wrestle. They can both throw hands. They both know some Muay Thai. They both know some Jiu-Jitsu. They both know escape techniques. They both know how to use their weight really well. They both know how to use their feet to climb the cage to get out of moves. I've seen BJ in situations before where he's been done, and I've heard the announcer say, "I'm looking for him to tap out," and he's come out on top of a guy, and he'll just hold on to him until the round's over. When the round's over, boom, it's a whole new fighter, man.
I'm telling you.
And so I think BJ McDowell is underappreciated in the sport. Outside of he doesn't have, like, people don't realize that the majority of BJ McDowell's fights have been on someone else's soil.
Exactly.
Like, he'll go right to your backyard and fight you in front of your whole town and family and everything.
He will do
and
that.
He'll bring 20 people. Mm-hmm. And he'll
not even 20.
Yeah, I mean, and he'll fight you. Like he's got 100 men standing behind him.
He does not care.
And so, I mean, and Trey Pendulum is as skilled as it is in the business, man. May 9th here, Empire Fight Series 3. It's going to be epic. Please don't miss it.
Sneak peek of who else is going to be here?
Give them another name. Because I was going to, but I'll leave it up to you. You're promoting the fight. Just give them one. You're promoting the fight.
How about Jeff Mack is going to be here?
Jeff Mack, long-time local legend. Jeff Mack, and Jeff's been fighting a long, long time, and he's still young. Yeah. He's still really young. So
he may have turned pro at 18. I ain't even sure, somewhere in there, 18, 19.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing about Jeff Mack long before I knew Jeff Mack.
Right.
And like, we've been texting and talking, and, like, he's fired up.
Yeah, he's
and,
ready.
like, he's excited about having a fight. To him, this is in his hometown.
Right.
He's excited about having a fight in his hometown. He's like, I've never got to do this before. You know, guys are like, I've never got to do this before.
Right.
Like, you're bringing it here on the surface. I've never got to do this before. So there'll be close to 1,500 people packed in this building like sardines We'll have plenty of food, plenty of drinks, plenty of security, plenty of good people. Somebody's like, "Oh, you're gonna need all kinds of security." I'm like, "Man, you wouldn't believe one of the most peaceful, more peaceful than a concert, more peaceful than a basketball game. These MMA fights, man. Everybody that comes to these MMA fights knows the toughest guys in the building are the fighters, so they leave their egos at the door most times.
That's true.
And so I've been to a lot of them, and I've never seen a lot of drama. The only person that was going to get their ass kicked once was me trying to go help him. But other than that, man, we are happy you guys tuned in tonight. I'll have Shaun on again. I'm going to have Jeff Mack on. I'm going to have Brian McDowell on. So the closer we get to May the 9th, the more people that are involved in the Empire Fight Series 3 will be here. We're going down to Pikeville on
April 4th.
April 4th, and that's going to be a cool experience, and we're going to be doing just what we're doing right now, on the mic, talking shit, man, having a ball. So please, tune in to next week's podcast. The guest will be named later. Shaun, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It's been
Always
awesome.
a pleasure.
And so for this week, we're signing out.